it's really an honor to have the opportunity to serve as the president of the West Tampa Chamber. You know, as I do a little reflection every evening at the end of the day, and you know, it's really, I don't know that many people have an opportunity to serve and to volunteer and to lead an organization that's been around for over 100 years. I think Brenda is the only other one in that company that I know of here, but it's really pretty awesome. You know, to have it's very humbling, and it's really a great opportunity. I mean, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I was born and raised in West Tampa. You know, my whole family grew up on Spruce and McDill, and it's been a part of my life, and to have the opportunity to serve in this capacity is really and truly a great honor to me. So I want to first and foremost thank everybody for your membership, for your support, and for entrusting me with the opportunity to serve in this capacity. So, you know, we have a rich history. I don't think anybody in here needs a history lesson, and we're going to have EJ talk in September, so that'll be your annual fill of that part of it. But, you know, obviously we have a great history in West Tampa, and there's a story that my father tells that sums up West Tampa to me 100%, and if you're from West Tampa, you'll get it. So in the 1980s, my dad was a very popular state legislator, very powerful too. He, you know, was part of the House leadership in Tallahassee, and was chair of the Criminal Justice Committee. So at the time, the prisons were overflowing with people. We didn't have enough beds. Crime was out of control, and my dad was tasked with solving that issue. And so he was proposing a series of sentencing reform initiatives in the legislature, and it was very, you know, it was high level. It was a lot of tension. So he is getting ready to walk out to chair the committee and get things started. And everybody's very formal in Tallahassee, and so he walks out there, and there's this guy sitting in the front row. He goes, "Ese come mierda es de West Tampa." And my dad was like, "Okay, never forget where you come from, right?" And so it was some guy from West Tampa that just happened to be in the committee room. His son was going to college at Florida State, and he had some time to kill. He ends up there. And so, you know, to me that sums up West Tampa because, you know, we achieved great things, people out of West Tampa. The list goes on and on and on. But we're all real people, you know what I mean? Like, we never lose track or lose sight of where we came from. And the community reflects that 100%, you know? I mean, if something happens, everybody bands together. And, you know, I filled sandbags for my neighbors my whole life, every time a storm comes. You know, we all chip in and help each other out. But we also have the ability to achieve great things as well. And that's demonstrated by a lot of the success that folks from West Tampa have realized. Now, so we have that great history, right? And our slogan is embrace the past but savor the future. There's rapid change ahead in West Tampa. I mean, enormous, ground-shattering change all over. And if you live in West Tampa, you work in West Tampa, you see that every day, right? I mean, the infill of houses going up, the redevelopment of the whole riverfront, the housing prices, everything in West Tampa is moving rapid pace. And as a chamber, we have a choice of staying the way that we are and being content and happy just being a small little West Tampa chamber. Or, as I'd like to do, we can jump to the front of the bus and start driving it and start dictating and start saying what that should look like in the future, because it's going to happen one way or another. We can either be part of the conversation or we can just be content with where we are. I suggest that we be part of the conversation and that we, you know, we take the wheel. So I've got some ideas about that. Now, West Tampa, of course, is a unique collection of neighborhoods. Everybody knows about the great neighborhood and civic associations, all the great work that you do. And that's one of the things that makes West Tampa unique, in my opinion, is that we are a collection of neighborhoods, right? So you've got Old West Tampa, you've got North Hyde Park, you've got McFarland Park, you've got Armory Gardens, Wellswood. You've got all these collections of neighborhoods, man, that are so tightly knit together. It's the way that our community was built. We've got great parks. We've got the Riverfront Julian B. Lane Park, which is the largest green space investment the city has ever made. We've got McFarland Park, Ray Park, Henry Lee Capaz, where I may have gotten caught playing football in the middle of the night there a few times growing up. We've got great buildings. We've got wonderful schools, St. Joseph, St. Lawrence, Tampa Catholic, Jesuit, McFarland Park, Tampa Bay Elementary. McFarland Park is maybe one of 2 IB elementary schools in the whole school district, which is the 8th largest school district in the nation. We've got one of the elementary IB schools right in the middle of West Tampa. We're a collection of family-owned businesses. That's another thing that's unique too, I think, in West Tampa, is that, all the local businesses that we go to are family-owned businesses. And it's always been that way. And if we realize it or not, we're a medical hub too. And I think that oftentimes gets overlooked. But we've got a huge collection of ancillary medical businesses in West Tampa that are related to the hospital that in my opinion, is a untapped resource for an organization like the Chamber. So the riverfront, anybody drive by Julian B. Lane at any time of the day, and it is packed all the time. That riverfront, which really was the antithesis of West Tampa developing, was the bridge being built so that they could access the port, right? Now that riverfront, it's like history repeating itself. That riverfront is being activated. Julian B. Lane is always busy. The North Boulevard homes are gone. The Rome Yard is gone. That's all phased out. It's going to be high density residential, commercial. The density in that area is going to go from like 800 units to like 8,000 units or something like that. I mean, it's a significant change in capacity that's going on down there. Now that's going to, in my opinion, that's going to create a challenge, because you're going to have all this area that's being redeveloped, and then you're going to have the rest of West Tampa, right? So kind of like the interstate bifurcated West Tampa in the 60s, we're going to have the new West Tampa and the old West Tampa, right? And so how do we deal with that? And then Midtown is another, it's beautiful. I think that the Haynes family has done a fantastic job in what they've done there, and I commend them. But if we stand here and do nothing, we're going to be known as Midtown, and we're going to lose the West Tampa identity. And so that is a concern to me. And membership, all of this stuff that I'm going to talk about moving forward is really, it's an effort on my part to engage membership and to increase our membership, because in order to grow as a chamber, we need to bring new members in, we need to keep members, and we need to grow that membership so that we can hire ambassadors, so that we can have, an economic development person that kind of bird dogs those issues, so that we can have the infrastructure to keep us growing and keep us moving forward and keeping us relevant in the conversations that are going on. Because we've done it with a volunteer board of directors and all that stuff, and I don't see how we can keep that pace up with everything that's going on unless we grow the membership, we increase our revenue, and we hire some people to take charge of those issues. So the first thing, and this is all a summary of, I've been on the board for 4 years. This is my 5th year, I think. So I served as president-elect for 2 years. I served on the board for 2 years, president-elect 2 years, and now this is my 1st year as president. And so this is a culmination of me listening and attending events and talking with people. And if you like the idea, Jeanette Fenton taught me everything I know. If you don't like the idea, Jeanette Fenton taught me everything I know about this stuff. But really having the opportunity to kind of be a leech, right, and just like take everything in and develop, identify what I thought the issues were and make some recommendations. So the first issue is asset activation. We've seen this in Channelside, the USF Medical School, right? They brought that baby in there. That's gonna serve as an asset. Mosey's moving over there, that's another asset. They have the Amalie Arena, they have the aquarium, so they have these assets down there, they just built around it, right? So I'm looking at the Chamber's opportunities of what assets do we currently have? Well, we have Raymond James Stadium is a huge asset. Now, if everybody remembers to talk about the baseball park in Ybor, man, everybody got excited about that, right? They were gonna like change the whole area. Well, god dang, we've had a football stadium in West Tampa for like 60 years, and it hasn't changed. So as a chamber, can we develop an asset kind of committee? Can we have a conversation about what that looks like? Can we come up with some ideas of what it should look like moving forward? St. Joseph Hospital is another asset. It's a tremendous asset. They just did a $100 million expansion right there on that campus. I think we probably, as a chamber, could lead an effort to build off of that, right? We have maybe 100 or more medical offices related to the hospital, but we can't get them to be members. And so, you know, to me, that would be a real good tie-in. We create some kind of business-related benefit to being a chamber member and building off of the medical industry within West Tampa is something that I would like this committee to look at. We have Al Lopez Park also, McFarland Park, but you know, to me, Al Lopez is like the Central Park of Tampa. And if anybody's been to New York and you've been through Central Park, they have art displays in there. I mean, they have all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Which really attracts people and makes it a real asset to that area as well. And I think we have that opportunity with Al Lopez as well. So, asset activation. And this is kind of just my thoughts, but I'd really like a committee to get going around these items. And so, could we attract a medical or pharmaceutical research company into West Tampa? And I know land acquisition in West Tampa is problematic, but right here in Drew Park, you know, they're a community redevelopment area too. Maybe there's some opportunity to partner, and there's some land in Drew Park where that could be developed, but the folks could live in West Tampa, right? And we serve as kind of the housing branch of that. And then the actual facilities are right here. We could even create like a trolley system or something for transportation. Medical device manufacturing is another thing. I mean, we make medical devices that are used at the hospital or something along those lines. Hospitality, I think, is another opportunity that we look at, and that's directly related to the stadium. The stuff that goes on there. You know, we could partner with HCC to do workforce development programs if we attract a company and we find all that and all the pieces fall together and we're able to bring somebody into West Tampa. HCC can develop programming to train the workers, right? And again, maybe we partner with the Drew Park CRA for some land acquisition. And then, you know, this is the craziest idea, which will never probably happen, I'm sure. And the Sports Authority would probably strike me with lightning for even saying it. But you know where Al Lopez used to be, the Yankees have like a large piece of property there. They also have Legends Field over here. So all the talk about a baseball stadium, wouldn't it be great to have a baseball stadium next to a football stadium and build up all around it and create some kind of sports entertainment complex density around that entire area? So these are the kind of things that I think the chamber could establish a committee on, and we could have discussions and we could start really talking about what these things look like, or if there's other things that we need to be looking at and discussions that we need to have. So Pfizer is set to open a 100,000 square foot office in Tampa Heights around Armature Works. So the opportunities are here. They want to come to Tampa. Can we as a chamber develop a plan that makes it attractive for them to come? Can we establish relationships with the city that makes it easy for them to come? So adaptive reuse is another thing that we could look at. You know, all these old buildings that sit idle. I think it's 1102 North Howard. Best Western wants to turn that into a boutique hotel called the Sadie Hotel on the left there. The Sicilian Club is going to be turned into a production studio. Are there other opportunities at the chamber that we could form a committee around and look at these other buildings and these other opportunities and attract some industry, not only to rehabilitate and restore those old buildings, but to create jobs as well? Gateways and outdoor branding. So with the CRA, you know, one of the bread and butter things that they do is they put up gateways, right? Like West Tampa, if you drive down Palm in Nebraska and you turn down Palm, there's a big gateway there that says Ybor City. The CRA is going to do this. They've done it here in Drew Park. You see the propellers on Dale Mabry and that kind of stuff. So this is going to happen, but it's only going to happen in the designated CRA area. So I think the chamber should look at identifying other areas that are worthy of gateways, like Dale Mabry and Columbus. You drive from the airport and you cross Dale Mabry, it says West Tampa, not Midtown, but West Tampa. And I think that we have opportunities to create funding campaigns and capital campaigns to raise money to create these gateway entries into West Tampa so that we don't lose our identity. Because if not, we're going to be like Little Italy in New York. We're going to be like 2 blocks. And, you know, everything, like West Tampa is going to be the corner of McDillon, Columbus, and everything else is going to be South Tampa or Midtown or whatever, right? And so I think we start kind of laying down our claim and developing these gateways so people know that they're in West Tampa. The other opportunity is in terms of beautification. So everybody think about Latam Liquors, okay? You're looking at Latam Liquors on the corner of Armenia and Columbus. Now look east. There's a business there with a big fence and like 50 cars that haven't moved parked in that lot. So the chamber could do things like work with Alex at New Age and print some fence screen that says, join the West Tampa Chamber of Commerce, or you are in West Tampa, or whatever, and hang that on that fence to not only rebrand the area and brand the area as West Tampa, but to also beautify the area as well, right? And there's tons of opportunities all over West Tampa. Alex has done that at the Fountain Square where they have their dumpster. There's like these 2 doors, and he printed a big screen. It's got the water tower on it. It says West Tampa and stuff like that. So we have opportunities to rebrand outdoor spaces using those abilities. You know, the water tower is a great example of that, right? But we have other opportunities where we could take advantage of some less than desirable sites in the area, and we could use some innovative ways to refresh them. And I think that once we start doing that, that it's going to promote a sense of pride, belonging, and it's going to automatically lead to people taking better care of their general space, right? So another thing is infrastructure too, and you know, this is really directly related to the neighborhoods, and you know, there's no walkable sidewalks, there's drainage ditches along a street. Take Glen Avenue for instance, that is probably 5 feet narrower than it should be, and then there's a 8-foot ditch on either side where cars literally get stuck in the ditch on a regular basis. So the Chamber's part in that, I think, is that if we're going to work to attract companies and businesses and that kind of stuff, then we need partners making sure the infrastructure of the area is suitable to have people move in, right? And suitable for a walking kind of participatory neighborhood. And so I think there's plenty of opportunities there where we can work with city officials and work on funding alternatives and that type of thing to help these neighborhoods get sidewalks so they don't have to worry about their kid getting hit by a car doing 40 miles an hour down Glen Avenue. The flooding has always been a major issue. Traffic calming on Howard and Armenia, has always been a thing that nobody's ever been able to solve. I'm not saying that we could solve it, but we could start discussions about it, right? And then beautification projects, and Leo actually led one of those when he was president. There's a couple of medians there across from the cemetery on Columbus, and they were beautified. But I think that there's opportunities on our thoroughfares to lead efforts to beautify some of those other thoroughfares throughout West Tampa as well. And the Guida House is another one, that just has been sitting there. And it's literally rotting away, right? So I think a success center, a small business incubator, and a job development kind of success center in West Tampa to help create jobs and train people for jobs would be an excellent thing. And I think the Guida House would be a great spot for that, right? And so the Chamber could take the lead and we could say, you know what, we're tired of everybody wanting to do something and nobody doing anything with it. And so we're going to come up with a plan and we're going to present it to you, the city. And we're going to figure out how to turn that into a success center in the heart of West Tampa. And then the Flavor of West Tampa is our annual event. And the Flavor is really unique because it supports the Judeo-Christian Health Clinic. That's our primary benefactor of that event. So we have agreed to donate a portion of our profits to the Judeo-Christian Health Clinic. And they're great partners in putting this event on. But it's also an annual event that can help us as a chamber grow revenue, right? So that we can hire those people that we need to hire on a full-time basis to do a lot of the work that we need to do. And we can build those relationships with larger corporate sponsors, right? Because as a chamber, I think we have a $500 membership, but there's businesses, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, daycare, I can name several of them, right? That could probably be $5,000 members and also be sponsors of our annual Flavor event, right? And so I think that there's opportunity there as well. And so we're not going to have it this year because the restrictions to use the park are so prohibitive that it just would not make sense to have the outdoor event at the park. But going forward, 2022 and beyond, I really think this is an opportunity for us as a chamber to come around an annual thing that celebrates West Tampa and helps us foster those relationships with the larger sponsors in the area. So, we've got rooms to go, we've got we've got all these huge, big corporations popping up on that Dale Mabry corridor that it would be great to get them engaged. And if they do nothing more other than support that as a large corporate sponsor, that would be fantastic. So things we're going to try and embed into our annual thing. We have opportunities to do education series, lunch and learns. Dr. Garcia and Danny Camacho are working on a history series that we can present at our luncheons to give little history lessons. We can also incorporate this into our website. So like all the historical landmark markers in West Tampa, we could identify where they are, we could tell a little story, take a tour of the historical markers in West Tampa. We can put all this stuff on our website. We can have a lunch and learn about the MEAT program. There's numerous things that we could do that benefit businesses that we could have ongoing opportunities for folks. the morning socials, happy hours, the leads group, which Leo has been working on very diligently, and I'd like for us to bring back and have an annual award program to really recognize people in the community that are doing stuff that nobody recognizes, but it's pretty unique and special and uniquely West Tampa, some of the stuff that's being done. So these are some of the committees that I think that, if anybody's interested, that you would have an opportunity to serve on. And we'll get this information out to all of our members, but I really think there's a lot of opportunity for us to form these committees and look at these things and come up with some recommendations. And administratively, Tina is fantastic, and I'm so grateful that she has been able to come on board and keep all the trains running on time and coordinating everything and keeping getting our website cleaned up and refreshed and that kind of stuff. So I feel like we're at the point where we're getting a little breathing room, and administratively we're going to really focus on the MEAT program, which is a tremendous benefit to members. There's very few chambers in the country, and we're the only one in Tampa, I believe, that offers this benefit to our members. So it's a 401k program, but you don't have to manage it yourself. So it's a multiple employer aggregate program where they've got, it's kind of like an HMO of 401ks, but Lincoln Financial does all the administrative work, and they do all the filings and everything that you have to do on an annual basis. So especially for small businesses that are so prevalent in West Tampa that don't have the ability to do all of that stuff, it's a really good fit and a good benefit. And so we're going to be focusing on that and getting members aware of what is going on with that. Chamber Master, we can have a lunch and learn just about Chamber Master. We're going to upgrade the site. There's tremendous opportunity on Chamber Master to promote your business, to share information, to give member discounts, drive people through your front door, post jobs. We're going to look at partnerships like the National Chamber Program, which offers discounts to members and that type of thing. And we're also, once we refresh the website, we'll be able to expand advertising opportunities on our website. And we can also sell stuff like those West Tampa hats or, all kinds of stuff on the website that can help us with the branding, with the recognition, and also as a small generator of revenue as well.